Freeman Dyson, a living legend in the fields of mathematics and physics. 93 years old, he was one of the first scientists in the 70s who started to investigate climate change. He's extremely critical against computer-based climate models.
At Princeton University, please.
I'm interested in how he sees the development of present climate science.
I was there, I think, around 1970 to 1980. So this was a very active group of not just climate experts. We tried to measure everything and to see what the effects of carbon dioxide really are in the real world. Then there was another group of people, mostly in Colorado, who did computer calculations looking at the climate from a theoretical point of view. And then, of course, there became a political fight which of these groups would get the money. And so in the end, everything is decided, of course, by who gets the money. And so the people in Colorado won. It's a very dangerous game if you work with a computer model for years and years and years, always improving the model. In the end, you end up believing it. You can't. It's very difficult to remain objective.
But why do you think it's dangerous to believe in computer models?
Because they're wrong. It's very simple. They're wrong, and still people believe in them.
You base your opinion on that they are wrong?
They disagree with the observations. I mean, nature ought to be the deciding voice. The observations always should tell you in the end who is right and who is wrong. And those people don't look at the observations. They are in a world of their own. And the climate model is a very good tool for understanding climate, but a very bad tool for predicting climate. I don't say they're dishonest, but I think they are inevitably influenced by the fact that they live by scaring the public. That if they did not scare the public, they wouldn't get support from the government.
I'm an average guy, sort of overwhelmed by a labyrinth of information. Whether that is left-winged or right-winged, but all are claiming a monopoly on the truth. And how can I, as an average guy, sort of choose my own truth?
Unfortunately, the thing has become so political that it's no longer science. When you have strong political dogmas, as you say, on both sides. Generally speaking, I mean, there are two kinds of information. There is observations and there are theories. And so generally speaking, you can believe the observations and you don't have to believe the theories. I think that's the most useful guide. The observations of the greening of the planet are very clear. The theories of climate are very confused. We evolved in small tribes, hunting in the forests, competing with each other. And under those conditions, the most important thing was to have people who were totally loyal to the tribe. And whether their beliefs were right or wrong was not so important. As long as they believed the same things, they would survive. To be with the herd, thinking the same thoughts as other people, is built into our nature. And so it's still more important to belong to the tribe than it is to speak the truth. And scientists are not different from other people. We have our tribes also. It's a big mistake to start subsidizing a technology when it's expensive. That sort of fixes it in a it becomes then a vested interest to continue the technology even when it's expensive, and that's not going to solve the problem.
Ökonomisch ineffizient und es bindet wertvolle Flächen.
Dass nur Sanktionen sind, Auflagen sind in die Betriebe, nur mehr Auflagen.
Overall, it's part of a deindustrialization plan for the West.
Man überlegt, ob man überhaupt noch weiter betreibt.
Und darum sind die Kartoffeln einfach ausgestorben.
Bloß nachher, als die verstärkten Auflagen kamen, da hat Gerd gesagt, Schluss, Feierabend, wir machen nicht mehr.
Ja, wenn die so weitermachen, werden weniger noch Tierhaltung haben.
Man-made climate change is a huge ideological tool for Wall Street and multinationals and oil companies to exploit.
Climate model is a very good tool for understanding climate, but a very bad tool for predicting climate.
When there is more carbon dioxide, the temperature gets warmer.
To deny that means that you are not a part of the modern world.
Nou, geloof me of niet, maar dat is precies wat ik nodig heb, Frits.
Ja, maar Dick is nog jong.
Ja, dat is het hem, ja.
Ja, Dick is nog jong. En, het is veel erger als ze zich voorstellen kan. Veel erger. Als ze echt wil weten hoe de wetenschap werkt, moest ze maar eens op internet kijken naar het interview van Fletcher Prouty, een kolonel onder John F. Kennedy. En dan kan ze zelf bedenken waarom dat die Rockefellers uit een olie zijn gestapt en in erneuerbare energieën zien gaan investeren. Ja?
Mit seiner Firma Standard Oil war John D. Rockefeller zum reichsten Mann der Welt geworden. Seine Erben wollen jetzt mit Öl und Gas nichts mehr zu tun haben. Vor dem UN-Klimagipfel in New York kündigte die 670 Millionen Euro schwere Stiftung Rockefeller Brothers Fund an, sich bis Ende des Jahres fast vollständig aus dem Kohlegeschäft und der Ölgewinnung aus Teersand zurückzuziehen und verpflichtete sich, künftig verstärkt in erneuerbare Energien zu investieren. Damit schloss sich der Rockefeller Brothers Fund einer Allianz von mehr als 800 Stiftungen, Investmentfonds und öffentlichen Einrichtungen an.
When they first found petroleum, Rockefeller happened to be the smartest man in the business at the time. So in order to get the price up, they hit on the idea that they would have to make it appear to be scarce. In 1892, there was a convention in Geneva of scientists to determine what organic substances are. So at this Geneva convention, Rockefeller took advantage of sending some scientists over who said, oil, petroleum, is hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Therefore, it must be derived from the spoiling, the rotting of formerly living matter. And playing the game properly, when this scientific convention was over, they defined oil as a residue from formerly living matter. It's called fossil fuel for the minds of the public to feel that it is an asset that is running out.
Professor Kacharov, a scientist who claims through laboratory tests the existence of abiotic oil. Well, that will be something. You, as a scientist, proclaimed and even proved a completely different theory about the existence of oil?
Well, according to our, I would say, controversial point of view, hydrocarbons is the product of our planet. They are generating on the depths of roughly 100-200 kilometers, then migrates into the Earth's crust and form oil and gas deposits. So we could say that this is a blood of our planet. How did we prove this concept? We make experiments. We have a very developed high-pressure equipment at my mother university, Gubkin State, Russian University of Oil and Gas. I try to explain it very simple. This is a surface of the Earth. This is a depth of roughly 100 kilometers. This is a crust of the Earth. Below 100 kilometers, there are donors of carbon and hydrogen. We add in this mixture ferrum oxide and put this mixture in the capsule, pressurize it, and raise the temperature. Then, in the end, we have a mixture of hydrocarbons in distribution of at least natural gas methane, ethane, propane, and butane. The mixture of these hydrocarbons from this depth to the crust could be moved via deep channels to oil or natural gas deposit. There are no doubts that hydrocarbons, and natural gas particularly, could be generated in astronosphere of our planet on the depths of 100 to 100 kilometers.
So then you're saying that it is infinite as well?
Yes, indeed.
That the world is producing it over and over again?
Yes.
But I do hear stories that oil fields are running out and they're closing the oil fields because there's no oil anymore.
People take oil very quickly, and if we will come back to this oil field in 50, 60 years, we could see that new oil came to these oil fields. There are a lot of samples, for instance, in Romashkina oil field in Russia, in different oil fields in Russian Caucasus. After a certain time, new oil came in old oil fields, and this oil could be only from the depths. We use oil, crude oil, to produce most of the fuel which we use for our vehicles and heating equipment. According to very known calculation, we do use only 15% of oil produced every year. 15%. We don't need to find new oil fields. or gas fields. We don't need to accelerate oil and gas production. We just need to increase the efficiency of the processes which we used for our civilization. The amount of hydrocarbons in deposits, it's not a problem. The problem is how do we use oil and natural gas.
But that's huge. What you're saying is that we could live in balance and in peace with oil, and which saves us millions of dollars. It would be economically and politically change the world on such a big scale. I can't imagine.
Correct.
And I mean, why I'm not reading and seeing this in the mainstream media?
Your question is your answer.
There I am, just as smart as I was before.
Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da